Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who that? Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Well, Who That Nation, week 9 is here. The New Orleans Saints travel to the West Coast to take on the Los Angeles Rams, who are coming off a bye week and are one of the best teams in all of the NFL as of right now. A very talented team are the Los Angeles Rams. They sit at 5-2, and they could easily be an undefeated team the way that they play, man. A couple mishaps down the stretch late in games basically cost them some games this season. But nonetheless, the New Orleans Saints have a big task to knock off the Los Angeles Rams. But I think a lot of people are going to be focusing from a Saints perspective on quarterback Tyler Shough. Tyler Shough is getting his very first start in the National Football League this regular season, and he is going to be taking on a vaunted defense led by Jared Verse and Byron Young with the Los Angeles Rams. I'll go ahead and I'll start with Tyler Shough. There's been a lot of talk about Tyler Shough and is he ready for this moment? We're about to find out. I think that Tyler Shough has to go out here and he has to be sure of himself. You got a full week of running with the ones, developing a rapport with these players. Maybe some of those plays that, he threw the ball to some of the receivers and running backs last week, they weren't on the same page. So hopefully this week he can have a rapport with some of the players. The best thing about this is a couple of the guys that he probably was running with on scout team are going to be available. Devin Neal, who has been dealing with an injury, he had limited practice over the last couple of days, but he was a full participant in the last practice for the Saints on Friday. So I think that he will be able to help Tyler Shough. Those two being a part of, that kind of like scout team thing where Devin Neal was running with him, but of course he's been a healthy scratch over the last couple of weeks before Kendre Miller went down with an ACL tear. So Devin Neal being in the backfield, helping out will probably be a plus. And it seemed also that the rapport between Tyler Shough and Brandon Cooks was pretty good. Now, I know that Brandon Cooks is a guy who has played for the Rams, and this could be one of those motivational games. And, I think that out of all the wide receivers that Tyler Shough threw to last week, it seemed like him and Brandon Cooks were on the same page. So I want to see if this can actually work. I don't expect for Tyler Shough to go out there, get 3 or 4 touchdowns. I don't expect for Tyler Shough to go out there and just set the world on fire. Now, if he did, I think that the Saints are a little bit closer to understanding and knowing that they have the quarterback of the future. But he has to be steady. It's going to be tough for him to be able to stand in that pocket to deliver throws. And, there has been a knock on Tyler Shough throughout his collegiate career and some of the question marks that Saints fans have about him. Will he be able to stand in a pocket? Will he get happy feet and cause himself to maybe throw an interception or make a mistake? But I'm not judging Tyler Shough based on that. I just want to see if he can stay ahead of the chains and make really good decisions. I think it's going to be different offensively for the New Orleans Saints. It just comes with the territory. I don't want anybody to go out there and watch this game and be like, well, man, it just seemed like, they want Tyler Shough to succeed and not Spencer Rattler. Quarterbacks they develop different. They have different schemes, and they have different things that they do to make them to be able to thrive in certain offenses. And I think that Kellen Moore is probably going to be able to do that because Tyler Shough has a skill set that Spencer Rattler didn't have, and vice versa. So I think you're going to see a little bit different offense. At least they should, because if you're going to beat the Rams, you're going to have to pull out all the stops. And where the New Orleans Saints are as a team, being 1-7, you have to believe that maybe some trickery is going to take place in this game. I mean, you don't have anything to lose right now. I just want to see the offensive line be able to hold up as much as they possibly can versus this Rams defense. But when you look at the Rams defense, I mean, they can get pressure. One of the best teams in the league. As of right now, as a collective group, they have 26 sacks as a unit, led by Byron Young, who has 9 sacks, and Jared Verse, who has 4. You got a couple guys on the team with 1.5 sacks. So they got some players. When you zero in on Jared Verse and Byron Young, there's still some other players out there that can get it as well. So the New Orleans Saints are going to have to figure that out. I don't expect for the offensive line to be able to hold up consistently, but enough for the offense to be able to be as efficient as possible. So that may involve Kellen Moore coming up with a plan of getting Tyler Shough some quick throws, getting the ball out of his hands really quickly to get him comfortable inside of this offense. The running game, it cannot be like it was last week. Kellen Moore has got to commit to the run. You got to be able to help out your young quarterback by running the football, trying to control the time of possession, and trying to maybe go on some of these longer drives to try to shorten this game as much as possible. Even if it ends in a field goal or something like that, like you have to find ways of getting points on the board. You cannot get the ball down the field and come away with absolutely nothing. It will be a recipe for disasters. As far as these wide receivers, Rashid Shaheed, who is in question as of right now upon the making of this video, I don't know his status, but he is a guy that has been limited in practice dealing with a hip injury. You got Chris Olave, who has been dealing with an ankle injury, but he's been practicing fully. You got Juwan Johnson with a neck injury, who has been a full participant as well. So they're going to have to be able to make some plays. Like if Tyler Shough throws you the football, you have got to catch it. Juwan Johnson has struggled with catching a football consistently. He'll drop an easy pass, and then he'll catch a even more complicated pass than the one that he dropped. He has got to find a way to get the ball in his hands to be able to secure it and make sure that he's able to get those first downs or maybe be able to get a few yards. You got to be able to help out your young quarterback. I want to see if they can use Chris Olave down the field. That seems like where his bread is buttered. Especially if Rashid Shaheed can't be a down the field threat today if he's dealing with an injury. If he's dealing with an injury, you're probably dealing with a Mason Tipton type situation where I'm pretty sure, once again, that's somebody that Tyler Shough can rely on. Those guys probably have been on the scout team together as well. So you got a couple guys that he could probably develop a rapport with. It seemed like him and Tipton were on the same page during preseason. So I don't know if that's going to translate to the regular season. But if Rashid Shaheed can't go, then Mason Tipton more than likely is going to be in the game. And also Devon Vele. Like we got to get Devon Vele involved if you're the Saints. You got to be able to find a way to get this man the ball. He's a big target. And, I just think that he can be a safety valve for a guy like Tyler Shough. So offensively, they're going to have to move this football by being able to run, using Devin Neal, Alvin Kamara, or whoever is going to be in this running back lineup. If Alvin is limited, you got to be able to run the ball effectively if you're going to win this football game and win the line of scrimmage. On the defensive side of the football, I know that the New Orleans Saints had a really good outing last week. Despite Tampa winning a football game, it was mostly by field goals. Baker Mayfield was not a factor to a point where it just looked like he was just dominated like we've seen in previous weeks from quarterbacks. But Matthew Stafford is a whole different beast. And no disrespect to Baker Mayfield, I think he's having an MVP-type campaign. But Matthew Stafford is just a better quarterback than he is as of right now, a better thrower up the football, in my opinion. And he has some guys that he can throw the ball to, of course. Puka Nacua has been dealing with an injury. He will return in this game. But you also have Devontae Adams out there who can get busy. You got Kyron Williams who can run in between the tackles, catch the ball out of the backfield. You got Tyler Higbee, the tight end, who can be able to get those first downs and be that threat in the middle of the field. So they have a lot of weapons that Sean McVay tries to utilize for the Rams. And, if the New Orleans Saints defense are not on their P's and Q's, they can go out there and get beat. You cannot look at your press clippings from last week. There was a lot of positive things from that young secondary that was put on tape, but you're only as funky as your last cut, man. It's plain and simple. Like right now, you got to dial in. You got to focus on trying to neutralize Devontae Adams the best way possible and Puka Nacua the best way possible. Can they neutralize those guys? I don't know. I mean, if I'm a betting man, probably not, but you got to be able to keep these guys in check the best way possible. The Saints defensive line has got to get pressure on Matthew Stafford. Now, if we can see something from Chase Young, something we saw last week where he had 1.5 sacks, and it seemed like he was always disruptive, and he was going up against a really good left tackle in Trifton Wirfs. Some people even consider one of the best, if not the best left tackle in the game as of right now, and he was able to win that matchup. If Chase Young can bring that type of energy to Los Angeles to be able to get pressure on Matthew Stafford, and you can get that other defensive line going, maybe, everybody looks at Chase Young, demands a double team, so that means that Carl Granderson can eat. Maybe you can get Brian Brzee coming up the middle, Cam Jordan contributing, but you got to find a way to get Matthew Stafford off his spot. You cannot give him too much time because he will pick you apart. Kyron Williams, I mentioned him as a catcher out of the backfield, but he's also a really good runner in between the tackles. Now, he has had his fair share of fumbles this season, been coughing up the football, really costing himself some opportunities, being benched from time to time just to get his head straight. But when he is on, he is one of the best running backs in the game. Him and James Cook of the Buffalo Bills kind of remind me of the same type of running back guys. When they start to get hot, it is hard to try to cool them down. So the New Orleans Saints defense has got to get pressure on Matthew Stafford. They got to be able to find a way to control the run and force some turnovers. Like, if Matthew Stafford throws you a pass, and there's an opportunity for you to make a play, you got to go up there, jump up there and try to get that pick. You got to find a way to punch the ball out of Kyron Williams' hands, a guy who has been struggling with fumbles. You have got to make your own opportunities. And the defense, if they can replicate some of the things they did last week, then I think the Saints will be fine in that regard. But it's up to the offense. If the defense is giving you short fields, to go out there to try to put some points on the board. You cannot allow the defense to give you the ball in plus territory and you come away with absolutely nothing. This could be a Blake Grupe game. Blake Grupe has got to fix those yips that he has. If the New Orleans Saints can get down there to the 40, to the 30-yard line, he has got to be able to nail those kicks to be able to keep this thing honest, because if you start missing field goals, if you're not winning the time of possession, if you're not forcing turnovers and Matthew Stafford has all day to throw the football, it is going to be tough. But with all of that, I still feel like the New Orleans Saints aren't going to win this football game. I just look at where the New Orleans Saints are as a team. They're 1-7. I think that they're trying as hard as they can. They just don't have enough talent to be able to roll, in my opinion, with the Rams. Now, I would be glad to be wrong about this situation, but I just think that the Rams coming off a bye week, having an experienced quarterback in Matthew Stafford, having a really good coach in Sean McVay, I think it's going to be too much for the Saints. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think that Brandon Staley, his knowledge, working with Sean McVay, being on the staff, understanding Sean McVay's tendencies, it might be able to help the New Orleans Saints defense to be able to stay in this game. But I'm looking at this offense, and over the last couple of weeks, they have not been able to get things together consistently with a lot of drop passes, missed opportunities, false starts. They have held the team back, and I don't think that that's just going to change because of a quarterback change. I'm just looking for Tyler Shough to be efficient. If he can go out there and be efficient and get better from week to week, learn from a game like this, I think it's a plus. But the Saints are going to have to put a lot of things together in SoFi Stadium if they're going to knock off the Rams. It's going to be a tough task, so I got to go with the Rams in this game. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think about the New Orleans Saints taking on the Los Angeles Rams? What are your keys to victory for the New Orleans Saints? Do you think that the Saints are going to get pressure on Matthew Stafford? Do you think that Tyler Shough will be able to develop a rapport with any other wide receivers or running backs that is going to take the field in his very first start? Comment down below, like and share this video. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Once again, my name is TJ Jones. Please follow me on X at TJAYJones8. And I'll see you all after the game. Make sure you check out the post game on Bleacher Report as well as the State of the Saints podcast. Till next time, all I got to say is, who that?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who that?